Brad is 28 years old, makes $82,000 a year, and has $45,000 saved up. His mom calls him every other Sunday. And every other Sunday, without fail, she says the same thing. Brad, you need to stop throwing your money away on rent. You need to buy a house. You're just making your landlord rich. His co-worker Derek bought a house last year and won't stop talking about it. Equity, man. You're building equity. Renting is a scam. His financial advisor sent him an article. The headline, Renting versus Buying, Why Owners Always Win Long Term. Everyone agrees, buying is better. Renting is for people who haven't figured it out yet. So Brad buys a house. And 30 years later, Brad is wondering why his neighbor, the one who rented the whole time, seems to be doing just as well financially, maybe better. Nobody told Brad the whole story. The myth everybody believes. Let's start with the argument you've heard 1,000 times. Renting is throwing money away. When you rent, you pay every month and end up with nothing. When you buy, every payment builds equity. After 30 years, you own the house free and clear. It sounds airtight, it feels logical, and it is partially true. But it leaves out about half the math. Conveniently, the expensive half. Here's the version of homeownership nobody puts in the brochure. Brad buys a house in 2024 for $380,000. Pretty average for a mid-sized American city, not a mansion. A decent 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. He puts 10% down. That's $38,000 of his $45,000 in savings, gone on day one. His mortgage is $342,000 at a 7.1% interest rate, which is roughly what rates looked like in late 2024. His monthly mortgage payment, $2,294. That's less than renting a similar house in this neighborhood, Brad says. His neighbor's equivalent rental is $2,100 a month. Brad feels like he's winning already. But that $2,294 is just the starting point. Here's what actually comes out of Brad's pocket every month as a homeowner. Mortgage payment, $2,294, property taxes, $395, homeowner's insurance, $140, PMI, private mortgage insurance. Because he put less than 20% down, $178 HOA fees in his neighborhood, $85 average monthly maintenance. We'll get to this. $316. Total monthly cost of owning, $3,408. That's $1,308 more than his neighbor pays in rent every month. That gap is where the honest math begins. The costs nobody talks about. Homeownership budgets, and almost nobody accounts for it up front. The rule of thumb used by financial planners: budget 1% of your home's value per year for maintenance and repairs. On a $380,000 house, that's $3,800 per year, or $316 per month. Is that number real? Let's look at what Brad actually faces over 30 years. Year 3, HVAC unit dies, replacement cost, $7,200. Year 7, roof starts showing wear, full replacement, $14,000. Year 11, water heater gives out, $1,400. Year 14, kitchen appliances are aging, fridge, dishwasher, stove, $4,800. Year 18, bathroom remodel. Not optional anymore. The tiles are cracking and the plumbing is acting up, $11,000. Year 22, exterior paint, gutters, and wood rot repair, $6,500. Year 25, HVAC again, $8,500. Year 28, plumbing issues, water damage repair, partial flooring replacement, $9,200. Add it all up across 30 years, roughly $95,000 in maintenance and repair costs. Not improvements, maintenance, just keeping the house in working order. That's $3,166 per year average, $264 per month. And that doesn't count the upgrades Brad makes to stay competitive if he ever wants to sell updated kitchen, finished basement, new deck. Add another $40,000 to $60,000 over the life of ownership. Now here's the number that will genuinely shock you. Over 30 years, Brad will pay $342,000 in principal on his mortgage. But he'll also pay $484,000 in interest. He paid $380,000 for the house. He'll pay the bank $484,000 just for the privilege of borrowing the money. Total cost of ownership over 30 years, all in. Mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, PMI, HOA, and maintenance, over $1,050,000. For a house that cost $380,000, that's the number nobody puts in the brochure. The renter's actual math. Okay, so buying is expensive. But surely renting is still worse, right? You pay all that money and have nothing at the end. Not so fast. Let's look at Brad's neighbor, Jake. Jake rents the equivalent house for $2,100 a month in 2024. He did not buy. But here's what Jake did instead. First, he kept the $38,000 he would have used as a down payment. He invested it in a low-cost index fund instead. Second, every month, Jake pays $1,308 less than Brad does to house himself. He invests that difference every single month into the same index fund. The stock market, historically, has averaged about 7% annual returns after inflation over long periods. That's not a guarantee, but it's the honest historical average. So let's run the math on Jake's investment side. The $38,000 lump sum invested in 2024, growing at 7% for 30 years, $289,600. The $1,308 monthly investment difference, growing at 7% for 30 years, $1,490,000. Jake's total investment portfolio after 30 years, approximately $1,779,600. Now, Brad's house. Home values have historically appreciated about 3.5% to 4% annually. On a $380,000 home, 30 years of 4% appreciation puts the value at roughly $1,232,000. Brad owns that house free and clear. That's real wealth. That's legitimate. But his net gain, after subtracting total costs paid, is considerably less than the headline number suggests. Total paid, over $1,050,000. End value, $1,232,000. Net wealth from the house, roughly $182,000. Jake's portfolio, $1,779,600, starting from the same financial position. On pure numbers alone, over a 30-year period, the disciplined renter who invests the difference can come out significantly ahead. But wait, there are things this math doesn't capture, and they matter enormously. Let's be honest about both sides. What the numbers don't capture. That math sounds like a slam dunk for renting. But before you call your landlord and tell him you've figured out he's been robbing you, pump the brakes. There are 5 massive variables that change the outcome entirely. Variable 1. Rent increases. Jake's rent doesn't stay at $2,100 for 30 years. Nationally, rents have increased about 3% to 5% annually on average. At 4% annual increases, Jake's rent in year 30 is over $6,800 per month. His investment contributions have to come from somewhere. As rent eats more of his income, the monthly surplus he invests shrinks. This significantly dents his portfolio projections. Variable 2. The discipline problem. The renter math only works if Jake actually invests the difference every single month for 30 years without missing a beat every month. Rain or shine, mark it up, mark it down. Most people don't do this. They spend the difference. They upgrade their lifestyle. They use the extra cushion to buy nicer stuff. If Jake invests inconsistently, say, only 60% of the months and only 80% of the suggested amount, his portfolio drops dramatically. The math falls apart when the discipline does. Variable 3. Where you buy matters more than whether you buy. A house bought in Austin, Texas in 2014 nearly tripled in value by 2024. A house in a declining Rust Belt city might have barely kept pace with inflation. National averages hide extreme local variation. The 4% appreciation number can be wildly off in either direction depending on your specific market. Variable 4. Leverage. Brad put $38,000 down and controlled a $380,000 asset. When that asset goes up in value, his return on his initial investment is magnified. If the house increases $100,000 in value, that's a $100,000 gain on a $38,000 investment. Renters don't get leverage. They get pure investment returns on what they actually put in. Variable 5. Forced savings. This one is uncomfortable but true. For most Americans, the mortgage is the only savings they actually follow through on. The discipline that renting requires, voluntarily investing every month for 30 years, is something most people simply won't do. The house forces you to save. The mortgage payment comes out whether you feel like building wealth that month or not. For people who struggle with discipline, the forced savings mechanism of homeownership is genuinely valuable. The honest framework. So what's the actual answer? Should you rent or buy? Here's the framework based on honest math, not family pressure and not real estate industry marketing. Question 1. How long are you staying? This is the most important variable of all. The break-even point, the point where buying starts to make more financial sense than renting, is typically between 7 and 12 years in most U.S. markets. Why so long? Because the transaction costs of buying are brutal. Closing costs on the purchase, 2% to 5% of the home price. Realtor commissions when you sell, typically 5% to 6%. On a $380,000 home, you're looking at $35,000 to $40,000 just to get in and out. If Brad buys and sells in 4 years, he almost certainly loses money even if the house appreciated. The rule: if you're not confident you're staying at least 7 years, renting is almost always the better financial decision. Full stop. Question 2. What's the price-to-rent ratio in your market? Divide the purchase price of a home by the annual rent for an equivalent property. $380,000 home divided by $25,200 annual rent equals a ratio of 15. Below 15, buying tends to make financial sense. 15 to 20, it's a gray zone, lifestyle factors matter more. Above 20, renting and investing the difference is often the smarter financial move. In cities like San Francisco or New York, price-to-rent ratios above 30 are common. In those markets, the honest math almost always favors renting and investing. Question 3. Can you actually invest the difference? Be ruthlessly honest with yourself here. Not could I theoretically invest the difference. Will you every month, without fail? If the answer is genuinely yes, and you have the track record to prove your discipline, renting and investing can beat buying over 30 years in many markets. If the answer is probably, mostly, I think so, the forced savings mechanism of a mortgage might serve you better despite the higher cost. Question 4. What's your flexibility worth? Homeownership locks you in. That's not entirely bad, but it's real. If a great job opportunity comes up 2 states away, Brad can't just pack up next month. If Jake's building sells or his landlord raises rent aggressively, he has flexibility Brad doesn't. In a mobile career economy, that flexibility has real financial value, especially in your 20s and 30s. The real comparison. Let's bring it home with the honest side-by-side. Brad buys, stays for 30 years. House appreciates at 4% annually. He maintains the home properly. He doesn't cash out refinance. He doesn't take out a HELOC to fund lifestyle spending. After 30 years, house worth $1.3 million. Total net wealth from real estate after all costs, approximately $180,000 to $250,000, plus he has a paid-off house to live in or sell. Jake rents, invests the down payment and monthly difference consistently for 30 years at 7%, accounts for rising rents, reducing his monthly surplus over time. After 30 years, portfolio worth approximately $900,000 to $1.1 million. He doesn't own property but has liquid, flexible wealth. In this realistic scenario, with rising rents eating into Jake's investment surplus, the gap narrows dramatically from the pure math version. They're closer than anyone admits. Both can build serious wealth. Both can also fail spectacularly. Brad if his market stagnates, Jake if his discipline does. The wealth gap after 30 years isn't really about renting versus owning. It's about whether you execute your strategy consistently, every single year, for 3 decades. Closing. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. There is no universally correct answer to the rent versus buy question. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something, either real estate or a contrarian YouTube take. What there is your specific situation, your market, your timeline, your discipline level, your career mobility, your risk tolerance. Run your own numbers. Use your actual rent, your actual home prices, your actual interest rate, not national averages. Your numbers. And when your mom calls on Sunday and says you're throwing money away on rent, you can tell her you're running the honest math. If this video gave you a clearer picture than the usual noise, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with anyone who's been told renting is automatically a waste of money. They deserve the full story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.